esteemed delegates, secretariat, and press. I'm Canada's Minister of Foreign Affairs, John Barrett. Unfortunately, our dear leader, Stephen Harper, will again be unable to make it, as he's receiving yet another International Statesman Award. In his role as our head of state and government, which he has held with great dignity since 2006, Prime Minister Harper is now one of the more established heads of state, and as such is treated with a great deal of respect globally. But I'm not here to talk about our leader and my friend. I'm here to discuss what Canada sees as the failure of the United Nations. So let us begin with the misuse of UN resources. Last May, UN Special Rapporteur for Food, Olivier Schutter, for reasons unknown, decided to open unwarranted investigation into food security in developed states. With perhaps even lesser cause, Mr. Schutter began his investigation with Canada. For the record, let us show that less than 1 month after Mr. Schutter's visit, Canada was ranked 8th in world food security by the Economist Intelligence Unit. Ladies and gentlemen, Canada not only feeds its own people, we contribute billions in our international food aid. Mr. Schutter's time is valuable. Let's not send him to assess and help states in need, not guilt-trip more unfortunate nations such as Canada. And speaking of wasted time, I'm going to return to the topic I discussed last time I gave a conference opening speech. The United Nations is infinitely more concerned with refining its own minutiae than carrying out its assigned duties. Every year, we hear the same calls for UN reform, from Security Council permanent member increases to the outright elimination of veto. These come from all various heads of state and are slightly different areas and originally non-negotiable. We have all this time looking internally, instead of looking externally, to the world that the UN is supposed to represent. These are trying times, with good, honest folks like the Syrian people, suffering under the oppressive rule of corrupt bully. These are times when decisive action can save lives, but the UN is not interested in that. Canada's not interested. No, instead of taking action within the Middle East to help those suffering under tyrannical regimes, the UN has decided to reward those who provoke war. That's right, folks. I'm talking about Palestine. The United Nations has always said that the way to achieve something is through negotiations, peaceably. And yet, after 60+ years of Palestine waiting for its statehood, it is finally rewarded for aggravating its conflict with Israel. Palestine's unilateral action is exclusionary of its ever-present neighbors and will not be good for the area. In short, ladies and gentlemen, Canada does not have high hopes for this body. The UN is inefficient, ineffective, and a shell of its former self. Delegates, best of luck in your conference.